Right. Okay. So do you have any doubts with regards to the yesterday's class? So how do we read the data and how do we create Excel file, workbook sheets and rows and columns? There are a few other things that we'll discuss when we are working with the Selenium. Okay. So today's topic is like a collection framework. So this is the last topic that we are going to discuss as part of Java. And this is very important. And and the thing is like all the most of the times, okay. So most of the times the questions will be asked in this regard. Okay. So let's look into collection. What is collection framework and how does this support? Like what are the advantages, disadvantages, and why do we need to go with the collections? Everything in detail. Okay. So yeah, just give me a second, guys. Okay. Yes. So let me take another int object here. Yeah. So why do we need to use what is collection? Collection, and why do we need to use collections? And what are the advantages of what are the advantages of using the collections and how do we achieve the task? So that we are going to discuss. Okay. So we call it as like a collection framework. Okay. So collection framework is like a kind of a data structures for us. Okay. Data structures. So you might have heard about what is tag or queues and like first in, first out, last in, last out, FIFO, LIFO, and these are the different things that we have as part of like data structures. Okay. So it is derived based on the data structure. So let us consider a scenario like something is not working as expected. Like for example, if you are taking arrays. So how do we define an array? Array is equals to event of some size that we have to define. So what is happening here in this case is like, so dynamically it's not growing. So when you see this, it is not dynamically growing. We are defining some size, and if in case like if you need to insert more than 10 records, okay, 10 records or 10 values. In that case, what happens? So it's going to throw the error. Okay. So and we are not sure, like for example, if we have only 100 students, in this case, I want to grow like 1,000 students. Okay. So, but what is the definitions? What is the syntax of this defining the array? So array can be defined like int array is equals to new integer, and we are going to give the size of it. Okay, in data type. So we cannot extend it. So for example, I got like the requirement that I need to increase the size from 100 to 1,000. In certain cases, we cannot do it. Okay, we cannot do it in the sense. So if that class is made as like static, we cannot update anything to that. So to avoid this set of things, we have the interface called list along with that implementation classes called array list and linked list. Okay, so to achieve the goal, these are like dynamically they can grow based on the requirements. Okay, we need not to change the size of it. So initially they have some size. After that, when you start using it, and if you see that you need like more number of records that should be inserted, so that can be achieved through the array list or linked list. Okay, likewise we have different set of things here. So when we talk about collections, we have set. Inside in that set, we have hash set, linked hash set. Okay, set is an interface, and we have implementation classes called hash set, linked hash set, and reset. Okay, so likewise we have sorted set inside, sorted set. Like there are subcategories wherein that we are going to see the tree structure of that particular collection framework. Okay, so collection in Java is kind of like, we have like a certain framework wherein all the components will be coming into that category. Okay, so we are categorizing like, interfaces and classes. Inside the classes, inside that interfaces, we have like implementation classes. Okay, so list would list is an interface and it has implementation classes, array list and linked list. Set is an interface. The implementation classes of it is like, hash set, linked hash set, and reset. We have some legacy classes. We'll look into the structure of it, but we are not going to talk more about legacy classes. Okay. One more thing is like we have a map which doesn't come under the collection framework, but map has like hash map, linked hash map, and tree map. Okay. So we'll discuss in detail about these things after we are done with the collection framework. Okay, so map doesn't come under the collection framework, but it is the another part of the Java wherein it will help you to maintain the key value pair. Okay, so when we have some keys and for that key we have a value. Okay, so we are going to discuss about them later once we are done with this collection framework. Okay, so Java collection is kind of like, archiving all the operations that you perform on data, such as like any integer type, any object. Okay, let us take like any object. So like for example, if you want to do some search operation, okay, search operations, if you want to find out some element, or if you want to sort the elements, and if you want to like, insert the elements, or if you want to remove the elements. Okay, so and if you want to like, do some set of manipulations, whatever manipulations, like, take that element and try to do some actions on it. All these things can be achievable through the collections. Okay, collection framework. But these things is like, we have to do some like, predefined methods are there. So this predefined method helps you to do the operations. Okay, what are the operations? Search operations, sorting, insert, remove, or do any manipulations, or do the iterations. So all these things are like little advanced in this case. Okay, collection framework, which are not achievable directly through the arrays or any other. If you need some more programmatical. So in that case, what we do is like, we are going to achieve through the data structures. Okay, so data structures, how we use data structures is like, if you want to insert some element, then we are going to use some data structure. Those will be like helpful for us to insert. Like, as you see that we have, if we are trying to take the arrays, if you are trying to work with the arrays. So what is the problem with arrays? So it's like, it's not dynamic. It's like a static. We have to specify the size when we are declaring the array. And other thing is like, arrays are like homogeneous. Homogeneous in that only one type of data type, or else one type of object is going to. But in case of collection framework, we can have any type of elements that we can store. It can be whether it can be an integer, it can be a string, it can be a float, it can be a boolean. Okay, so that we can store. And if you want to go with any like kind of only homogeneous, then we are going to work on with the generics. Okay, with the help of generics. So in simple term, what is collection in Java is like, it represents a unit of objects. Okay, single unit of object. Single unit of objects. Okay, so what is collection in Java? It's a single unit of objects. Like we can hold the objects in a single unit. Okay, as a single unit. Let us take, for example, if you want to store integer. Another thing you need to remember is like, it will hold only objects, not the data type. Okay, but arrays can hold objects as well as like data types. Okay, objects as well as data types. If you want to hold the data types in this case, what you need to do is like, you need to convert that data type into the objects. Okay, any of this using the wrapper classes like integer, string, boolean. So we have wrapper classes for each and every data type, right? So that wrapper class we are going to use, and we are going to convert them from data type to the object. Okay, so let's go and see what is the hierarchy of collection framework. Okay, so here you can see collection. On top of it, we have a iteratable. Okay, so we have a iteratable, that is the parent interface, and after that it comes to the collection. Okay, so you can see this is the interface, this is the interface, this is the interface, and this is the interface. Okay, so we have like collection. We are going to discuss set and list. Okay, don't worry about this queue. Queue we probably will use most as part of our Selenium. So here you can see this is interface, this is interface, this is interface, and this interface. Okay, so interface here you can see extending. Okay, interfaces are extending the interfaces, but the classes, whatever we have implementation classes, here you can see. So for the list we have array list and we have linked list. Okay, so here you can see this is like linked list and array list. Okay, most like vector, priority queues, and these are like legacy classes. Okay, right away we are not using them. Okay, because we have a lot of things which are which are available as part of array list and linked list. Okay, so for a list we have array list and linked list as implementation classes. For set we have hash set, linked hash set, and tree set. Okay, hash set, linked hash set, and tree sets. So these are the implementation classes. And we have like you can see that sorted set, navigable set. So what is like, these are kind of like interfaces wherein we can these are like internally implemented. Okay, internally implemented. So tree sets are like internally it's going to implement this navigable set. Navigable set is like again extending the sorted set. Okay, so if you go to the documentation, API documentation of this particular collections, you'll come to know how that is defined as part of Java. Okay, so let's go and try to see the API documentation of it. So let me restart this session. API Java. Okay, so you can see the all super interface is like iteratable. Okay, so under this iteratable, all known sub interfaces. So here you can see these are the sub interfaces that we have: DQ, list, navigable set, queue, set, sorted set, transfer queue. So we are going to talk about like list, set, and we have like sorted set, which are like internally implemented by some of the classes. What are the implementation classes here? For the list we have array list. Okay, for the list we have array list and linked list. Okay, so here we go, linked list. So next we have like set will have like hash set, linked hash set, and tree set. Okay, so when I just click on this array list, you can see the hierarchy of it. See, object, abstract collection, abstract list, and then we have like array list. So in this, all implemented interfaces are like, you can see list is the implemented interface, which is already internally implemented. So direct node subclasses, these are some other classes that we have still like considered as like a subclasses for this array list. Okay, so here you can see how do we define the array list. You can say public class array list, and internally it's going to extend abstract list, implements list, random access, clonable, and serializable. Okay, random access in the sense, here we have some like difference between array list and linked list. Why do we use array list, and when do we use array list, and why do we need to use array list, and when do we use linked list, or why do we need to use linked list, that we are going to discuss in detail. Okay, so now you can see, you can look into this particular framework here. So like it's a like architecture diagram that we are looking at is like collection interfaces. In this we have like collection is a super interface. On top of it we have like all like these super interfaces like iteratable collection. Then under that collection we have sub interfaces like list, set, and queue. Okay, so for the list we have two implementation classes, array list and linked list. And set we have like hash set, linked hash set, and tree set. So why do we need to go with the collection framework? Is to overcome the disadvantages. Like disadvantages are limitations of the arrays. Okay, limitation of the arrays. So for every data structure that we are using, we'll have some underlying architecture for that. Okay, for example, if you take array list will have like a arrays as like underlying data structure. Okay, underlying architecture. I mean to say that underlying supporting things. Okay, so it will support arrays as well as like the list, array list also. Okay, linked list will have like we have linked list as like doubly linked list. So when we see that I'm talking about array list will be storing the elements in the form of arrays. Okay, so it will store in the form of arrays. But what is the underlying data structure of the linked list? Linked list is like it's going to have the doubly linked list. Like the elements will be stored like this. Okay, so this is head, and here it is node, and this is the element wherein the element will be stored. Okay, so here the element will be stored. So likewise, it will be connected here. Okay, element will be stored. So that is nothing but the particular address. So it is linking. Okay, so it is linking. Okay, so this is nothing but this is the head and this is a tail, and it is a head and it is a tail. So likewise, the data structure of linked list is like it's a double linked list. Okay, so it's like it is connected to this particular element. Okay, so we see that how exactly what is the difference between array list and linked list. So let's go and try to create a program. I've created a collection framework here. So first, inside this, I'm going to create another package called list. Okay, so I'll go and try to create class. Please. Okay, so just I'm creating a main method here. Inside this, I'm going to list is like interface. We cannot create object for that, but we can create the object using the implementation classes of it. Okay, for example, you see, I'm going to take list is equals to new array list. Okay, so array list. So we have to implement this interfaces from the we are like we have to import the package. Okay, so java.util package. And you see we have array list. So what are the methods that we have inside this array list is like add. Okay, so first we are going to add the elements. So as you spoke about, like we are going to add the elements here. So list add. So it is accepting strings, right? So first is like I'll try to take the integer value. Then after I'm going to take the float value. Then after I'm going to take the some boolean value. Then after I'm going to take. Now you see it is allowing us to add different set of data. Like if I'm talking about like data types, you can see we are trying to add different set of data types here. Okay, so but we have to remember like collection framework would only support the objects, not the data type. Okay, so now we see I am to put Srikanth. Okay, so now I want to print a complete list. Okay, we have added these elements. Now I'm trying to print it. I can see what is the value, what are the values that I've stored? 1, 2.4, 2.3. Okay. And what are the different things that we have as part of list interface? We'll see. Okay. So different methods. When I click on this list dot, then you can see these are the methods which are available as part of like list interface. Okay. So what are the methods that we have here? So we have add method, add object, and the index also we can give. For example, I want to store this particular value at the index 5 or 4. Okay. So let me take it as like 5, and I'm going to store the value as like now go and print. Okay, additionally, you'll get one more value here. That's sort of an exception. 0, 1, 2. Okay. Size defined here. So what it does is like, for example, if I'm going to add it, okay. So here it's specifying like we have see insert the specified element, the specified positions in the list optional operation. So it's like it's going to shift the value. We have to give like already we have defined something. For example, let me just reconsider this value again. In this case, what is happening is like add is like dynamically it is growing, but in this case, we are trying to replace some value and we have to give that indexes. Now you go and try to print it. So what it is doing is like it is printing the values repeatedly. But now I want to change some value. For example, I want to change the value of index at the position 4. Now I'm going to okay. So what it is doing now, it is shifting. Okay, it is shifting the sense it is replacing the value, and it is like now what it is doing is like sorry, it is shifting, not replacing. Okay, I'm sorry. So it is shifting the value. Now you see 1 to 1.4, 2 and 2 and the Shrikant. So what it is doing is like to the existing size that we have. So in that, what we are trying to do is like we want to put some value at the index 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it is shifting. One value is getting shifted here. So it is simply says like here also in this definition, it says like, let me just show you. See, removes not here. Insert the specified element, the specified position in this list, shift the element currently at the position and subsequently element to the right. So it's going to shift one position to the right. So it is as simple as like we are working on the array list, right? And the arrays, right? So what we are trying to do is like we are going to shift the values. But here that is like dynamically it cannot be like shifting the values. We have to do some set of operations there. But here it's like very simple, right? We can shift the values. See again the size is also growing by itself. We are not specifying anything. It's very simple for us, right? Now if we want to shift some value, if you want to add some value here, so what it's going to do, what it's going to do is like it's going to add a new value and this value will be shifted to the next value. Okay, next position, next index. So this is like very easy for us to use, right? In case of arrays, what we have to do, we have to dynamically we cannot grow it. But what we need to do is like we need to remove one element and we have to put that element over there. But the thing is like we cannot shift the elements because there is no size growable dynamically. Okay, so that is static size. So here I'm trying to put something which is not as part of like index, then it is throwing the index out of bound exception because we don't have that much size. Okay, so index static. The size is like will add the elements and it's going to grow dynamically. But in case of add the index, so what we are trying to do is like we are going to have this method. This is another method. So this is kind of like we have overloading. Okay, so type of parameters based on the parameters that it's going to call the method. So now you see we are trying to put some value at this index which is not available. So that is the reason why it is throwing the index out of an exception. Okay, if we have that value defined here, so then it will happily change its position. Okay, so let me take like 10. If you have 10 elements, we don't have 10 elements. Let me just put 8. Now you see what happens. It's going to shift one more time. Like last, we don't have anything. So what it is doing is like it is shifting this value and it's adding to the value here. Okay. So it's like still it is growing in this case. What it is doing is like at the 8th index, we like it is the end of the index, end of the array list, right? So it is adding one more element here. Okay. It is shifting as well as like it is adding the element here. So it is nothing but we have one more space here wherein we can add it. So if you go keep on adding this, now you see shift add dot some, I'll say HYD. See what it is doing now. So it is adding this element because this is at the index 8 and it's like it's pushing this value is like pushed at the end. Okay. After 8, it is pushing this value. Okay. So this is like add action. Like we are trying to add the element. Okay. So I'll delete this one. So to make it very simple for you guys, first we have added the elements. And how do we retrieve the elements now? I'm just putting it in. This is like in a collection. Now it's kind of like it is like kept in a collection. But how do we retrieve the values? So we can use traditional approach. That is nothing but the traditional for loop. I is less than list dot size. Okay, so in case of collections, we don't have length, guys. We have size. Okay, we have size here. So size I plus plus. So now, how do I get the element here? List dot get. Okay, list dot get. We don't have any list of I or something. Okay, so list dot get. So based on the index, it's going to retrieve the elements. Okay. So size is a new thing that is been introduced. Add is a new thing. Size is a new thing, and get is a new thing. Okay. So to get the elements from the array list, we are going to use the get method. And to get the size of array list, we are going to use this size. And here to add the elements, we are going to use add. But in case of arrays, how do we define the arrays? So it is like int array equals to new int of some 10 value. How do you add the values here? Array of 0 is equals to 1. Array of 1 is equals to 2. So to get the values from the array, what do you do? Int I is equals to 0. I is less than array dot length. I plus plus. Now system out array of I. Okay. So now we are adding arrays like this, but in array list we are adding using the add value. So here we are getting the length of the array using dot length, but here we are using the size, and here directly we are giving array of I because this is the array, so it's going to use array of I. But here we are going to use the list dot get. That's nothing but we have these are the different methods that will help you to overcome the advantages like no disadvantages, or can we see we can say that constraints. Okay, sometimes like we have some pros and constraints, right? Arrays are different, and the array list whatever we are trying to use as part of our list is different. Okay, so whenever we have some set of things which we have to insert dynamically, or we have to search and we have to sort, so all these actions can be done with the arrays, but that here we have some predefined methods which will help you to reduce your time and optimize your code. Okay, so now we go and try to print the values. See, first thing that's like here we are printing the collection, and here it's like getting one value at a time. Okay, so for example, as we looked into it, right? So for example, if you want to find out some element, okay, want to find out some element wherein I want to do some action on it. Okay, so action on it, or else I want to just print out that particular value. Okay, so I'm just trying to give it through the console. Say that system out. Please enter element to. Please enter which element you want to search. You can enter this element here and just give it as like a taking it as like an object. Okay, object is equals to sc dot. So here I'm searching if obj dot equals this dot get I. Okay, what I'm trying to do is like if this matches, then I'm going to print the value. Okay, j found. Point 4. So it's going here and it's trying to find out. It's equals to what it does is like it's going to check for only the strings. Okay, so it is accepting the values as like object, but this is like it's not. Let me put like everything is like string, and then try to search for the values. Okay. See what it says. Now you got this value, right? First it is iterating this and it's checking for this. So if it is found, it is going to put it as like 2.4 found, 2.4 found, because we have two values. Like, so it is iterating and it is searching for that value. Okay. So here, like in array list, search operation is faster. Okay. Search operation is faster. Okay. So remember this. Okay. Search operation is faster. So we have some set of things that we have to remember as part of like list, array list, and linked list. Okay. So we started talking about like list interface. List interfaces will have like both list, array list, and linked list, which are the implementation classes. Okay. So what is the difference between list, array list, and linked list that we are going to see little later. But now you see we are trying to retrieve the data from that particular list. Okay. I'll just remove this and I'll try to retrieve the data now. So it's like list dot get of I. Okay. So getting the values. Then next is like we can use advanced for. Okay. Advanced for. Okay. Advanced is like we need not to give any index values and all. So what we are going to do is like I'm just going to use. Yes. Sorry, this is a list. Okay. It's like object. Yeah, sorry. So we did not define it as like a we did not define it as like anything here, right? So we are not defining it as like a string. So I'm taking it as like a object. Object is a parent class of all the classes. So okay. So now when you go and try to run this, so what it does is like, so we need to remove this now. It's not required. I'll just save it. So this is like advanced for it. You need not to give any size or anything. So you need not to use get also. Directly you can go and execute this program. Now you see, it's like first it is printing the value still whatever values we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, till Hyderabad. So this is one set it is printing here using the traditional for loop, and this is the second set which is printing using the advanced for loop. Okay, advanced for loop. So what we are trying to do here, like we did not specify it as like any particular generic, right? So generic in the sense we have to specify it here. Okay, so what type of data that you want to hold? We are not specifying anything, so it will be considered as like it can hold any type of data. So it's not only the string, it can hold any type of data. Okay, so that is the reason why we are taking it as like an object. When you go and execute this program, you don't see any error here. It's not throwing any set of error. So what we are trying to do is like we are holding all this list of elements as like object and we are trying to print it. Here we are doing the same, but we are using some methods which are available as part of list. Size and get. Okay. So likewise, now you see we have some other methods also. For example, I want to remove some element. Okay. So for that, I'm going to use remove. I can give the index here. Okay. I can give the index here. And other thing is like now you see this is like treated as like a integer. For example, making this one as like string and this is the value. Now I want to remove one. Okay. I want to remove one. So the index is like I'm going to give the index. So it's like based on the index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I say 4, remove 4 and you try to print the values. Okay. So I'll just cut it and I'm going to paste it here. So observe carefully. So here also I'm going to just comment this line. Now observe carefully. So when I say when I'm going to remove the index, so what it does is like it's going to remove the value from that particular index. You can see we have 1 here, right? So we just located the index 4. So it is removing that particular value. Okay. So this is another important interview question, guys. They are going to ask you like, what is the difference between list dot remove? It's like new. Okay. So now you see, I'm just, okay, let me remove the set 4 and I'm going to add this value somewhere here. Okay. So observe carefully now. What is happening? So what is the value? 1 is the value and this is the index. So list dot remove of 4, it will remove the element which is located at the index 4. List dot remove new integer of I is like it will go and search for that particular value which is like 1. Okay, so let us take, I'm going to put it as like 100. Okay, if I go and say remove 100, new integer of 100, so it's going to remove that particular element. Okay, so 100 is removed. The difference between remove, it's like you can see the parameter that we are passing. One is like I'm passing it as like an object, and this is also kind of an object. Okay, so let me just show you again. Remove. Now you see here we are passing it as the index as like a parameter. So removes the elements at the specified positions in the list. And here when you go and see this, remove the first occurrence of the specified element from the list if it is present. Okay, so now you see we have like, for example, I'm adding somewhere here after this particular value. Now you see what is happening. Some compilation error. Okay. Now you see the first occurrence 100 is available here, so it's removing that. Okay, the difference between this remove and this remove is like this will remove the value which is available at this index, and this will remove the object which is available in the first occurrence of that particular object. That will be removed. Okay, 100 will be removed wherever it is. Okay, wherever it is in the list, that will be removed. Okay, so we looked into add, we looked into size, we looked into get, and we looked into remove, and we looked into the different approaches of retrieving the elements from the list.
Shrikant, what if we have to remove 100 from both places?
So in this case, what you can do is like you can just go ahead with the for loop, and you can just remove that element. Okay. So
Okay.
for example, if you want to remove all hundreds, right? And see for int I is equals to 0, I is less than list dot size I plus plus. Equal to what is the value that you want to give. So you can, for example, if you want to remove the index, this is the object and this is a integer. Let me take it as like a integer. The first occurrence, it is removing the first occurrence. Now we can see these are two are removed, but here we have another thing which is like it should also be removed actually. So just we are writing something here. Okay. Brothers. Yes, we have removed it. I have to put this one. It has removed this one and it has removed this two. And it is still, we have something value 100, integer 0, value is equals to 0. If it is equals to this value, it is removing this. Should remove this also. And just check what is that we have done. This is first occurrence, it is coming here and it is like removing this value and it's checking for the next value, it is not. Then it's going to remove this value. Should keep on iterating this value, but Let me use this for loop for printing the values of the list now. Yeah, what select is not remove. I'll look into this. Actually, it will remove now. See now, list dot remove new integer of value. So if this value is matching, list dot get whatever value that we are trying to match with this. So if you want to see this, you can just put the debug mode and you can run it. Okay, we'll see that what is the value that it is retrieving. So here you can see to inspect to get this value, we have to just add it as like a watch or you can inspect the values. Okay, so if you say watch and see, so what is that value that we are getting? 1. Okay, so which is not matching. So likewise, we can check for the rest of the values. So this is a true and this is Srikanth 2.4 again Srikanth. Now you see this value is matching. Okay, so whatever value that we have is like it's matching with the value. Okay, so when you see this, inspect, I'm inspecting this is 100. Okay, so now it is removing the 100. Again, it's matching with this value, second value. Now it has removed everything. Now it is printing the values here. Okay, so I'm not sure like why this is behaving like this, but here you can see this is like this will be removed. Okay, let me just put all the hundreds here. First occurrence has been removed, and you can see this is like this 2 has been removed, and it is like it should remove all the values. But generally, what we do is like we are going to use this in iterations, and we can remove that. Okay, so another way is like we can still do this with the help of like removing like one element at a time, or else we can add this list to the set. Okay, I'll show you like how do we remove this. Okay, so in case of set also, we can just go and add this particular collection to the set. So that we are going to discuss tomorrow. But today you can just see that we can able to remove the values. Okay, for example, remove this all, and still you can go ahead and try to use this. It will remove the first occurrence of that particular 100. Now you'll see there like first occurrence will be removed and rest of the values would be checked. If you want to do it again and again, you have to put it in a for loop. Okay, you have to put it in a for loop. Otherwise, you can use a while also, while make it true. And if you find that, you can remove that. Okay, so take that particular and iterate it, and you can do the iterations. Based on the iterations, it will remove. Okay, definitely it will remove. It will not put any values which are like which have the values as like 100. I mean, like currently, if you are checking with this value, so it will remove all the values. Okay, so just we need to write the logic. So based on that logic, it will remove the elements. Okay, are you clear with this, guys? So remove. We have one is like list dot remove. Remove will remove the element based on that index, and remove is here. It is like it will remove the object. Okay, so for example, if you want to remove this object for we have like Hyderabad, I want to remove this Hyderabad. So how can I do that now? The string value, and you can give the values as like HYD. Now this is removed. Okay, not only the integer, it will remove any type of data that we are going to. Okay, for example, we have a float 0.4. See, it has removed. Like we did not define it as like a float, we are defining it as like a double. So I try to. Now it is gone. Okay, 2.4 is gone. So this is like, this will help you to remove based on the type of object that you have inserted. And the remove will be removing based on the index. Okay, so this is the difference. Okay, so this is very important, guys. In case of interviews, they are going to ask this question. So, okay, what is the difference between remove the value and remove new object? Okay, so this is like, we are going to add the elements here, the different type of elements that we can add. So these elements are called objects, and we can retrieve the data. So with help, like if this is the one way and this is another way, and we looked into the remove also. How do we remove this? I'll just remove this everything which is like part of the object methods. Okay, the methods which are related to the interfaces. Okay, so object in the sense, I'm creating the object reference variable here for this interface, and I'm implementing this particular list with the help of like a list class. And here we are going to call it as like an object. Now what we are doing here is like, we are going to add the elements here. List.add all this set of like elements, whichever elements that you want to store. Okay, so irrespective of type of that particular object. Okay, it can be string, it can be boolean, it can be float, double, long, anything. Okay, so here we can add them. Okay, to make it specific thing, that generics, we'll talk about like generic. How do we add that particular element as only like, I want to hold only strings, I want to hold only integers. In that case, we have to define a generic object. Okay, so wrapper class, that we need to define the class and we can hold that value. So now you can see that we have looked into these methods. Now the other thing is like, the other approach of retrieving the data, retrieving the object from this list is like, we have an iterator. So this iterator, I'm going to create this iterator here and list dot. So this is kind of like a cursor, guys. Okay? Cursor in the sense, what it does is like, it's going to retrieve the data. It is specifically designed for, iterator is specifically designed for collection framework. Okay, it will help you to retrieve the data from array list, array list, linked list, set, hash set, linked hash set, tree set, maps, hash map, linked hash map, and tree maps. Okay, so this is like, it is common for all the collection. How do we retrieve the values here is like, here we have three methods. Okay, so one is like iterator, the list.iterator, list.hash next in the sense, it's going to check for the elements. If we have the elements here holding, okay, if for example, if it is empty, it will be like false. If it is some value is there, it's going to return the true. And how do you print the values now? So we have to print the values using iterator.next. When you say this, it's going to print all the values. Okay, iterator is like kind of a cursor that we have. Okay, so just I'm going to mouse over it, and let's see, you can see this, what it says. Okay, see, an iterator over a collection. Okay, an iterator over a collection. So it's like common for all the collection elements. Okay, so iterator, see here it says like, takes the place of, see, enumeration was like a different thing that we have, like, it was like legacy class. Now we are not using, but what it does is like, in the Java collection frameworks, iterator differs from enumeration in two ways. One is like, iterator allows the color to remove the elements from the underlying collection. So the other thing is like, we can remove the elements using the iterator. And the other thing is like, we can iterate through the list or collection, and we can print it. Like, we can do whatever action that we want. Okay, so that can be done with the help of like iterator. Iterator has a method, has next, it will return Boolean value. If we have some elements, okay, if the iterator has more elements, in that case, what happens is like, if it would return an element rather than throwing an exception. Okay, so instead of throwing the exception, it's going to return the element, return the next element in the iterator. So next in the sense, it's going to return the next element. So likewise, we have different things. Okay, we can remove the elements also. Okay, we'll see that when it is like as part of like, we are working on the collections here. Okay, so now you see iterator. So all the list of elements will be stored as part of like iterator. Now iterator will take care of looking into those elements. Now if we have the elements here, so it's going to return true and it's going to print it. Okay, so iterator next in the sense, it's going to print the values. I'm going to execute this code. You see, in the last line, you can see, let me just comment this line, and this line. Now go and execute this. Now you see, and you have the values using the iterator. Okay, so we can retrieve the data from the collections using traditional for loop, advanced for loop, and other one is like we can use the iterate also. But here in this case of list, you can see the get method. Directly, if you want to get some value based on the index, that you can do it here. Okay. So for example, if you want to get the value which is stored at the index 6, you can do it. So it will print the list, and you can see there is a value true, which is at the index 6, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, get method will help you to get the elements based on the indexes. Okay, so list, we have added the values. We got the values based on the index, and we got the size based, like what is the size of that collection. And then next we try to print the values, or else we try to retrieve the values using 3 approaches here. Okay, there is another approach that we have is like list iterator. List iterator is also another. This is only for list. This is only for list. See, list iterator. Yeah, dot. That's next. Okay, so this is only for list. It will not be available for any other interfaces like set interface. So this will be only available for retrieving the elements from the list. Okay, so here you can see there are some other things that we can do is like itr dot has previous, has next, index, next index, previous index. So these are the different methods that are available as part of list. Okay, if you want to set some value, so if you want to set, if you want to remove the value, so it will remove. Now you select set. Dot set. Illegal state exception. Okay, so directly we cannot set it here, guys. I'm sorry for that. So has previous, has next. See, for example, if he has next, so it will go and try to, like, for example, here we have like, see, we have the value here, we have the value here. So it will like keep on iterating and it will retrieve the value. So list iterator have the different methods here. So you can see dot as previous. As previous, we don't have any previous elements. So what it does is like it's going to just show you like what is the value. It's showing it as like true. But from where this is coming now, if you have any elements here, so next element would be like next dot previous. Let me just go and execute this again. This does not have any value. Okay. So, but it is returning true because yeah, here we have written one index values, right? So let me just comment this one also. I thought like it is returning some true, but now we see. So we don't have any previous values after this. Okay. If you want to set something here, so we can set it and we can get the values. Okay. So most of the time what we do is like we don't use this list interface, but I'm just showing you like this is the another enumeration, or we can say cursor. Okay. So these are cursors actually. Iterator and list iterators, these are the cursors. Enumeration is also one of the cursor which is available as part of collection framework. So with which we can retrieve the data. Okay. So now You can see when you put as next, we have the next values, right? So that is the reason why it is returning this value. Okay. So as next, and for example, here we have some, again, we are going to use list iterator, list itr dot as previous value. Let's go and try to check what happens in this case. Okay. ITR. We'll get into the infinite for loop here. So that's the thing, but we have one value, and again it is trying to go to the previous value and it is trying to print it. Okay. So I'll try to break it here. And so still it is kind of like it is when as next is like it will return always true. Okay, so it's getting into the infinite. So as next is like first it will go and try to print the value, right? One is the value that I'm printing here. So previous value is like one is the previous value. When I go and try to iterate this, right, one is the previous value. So I'm going to print the previous value here. Okay, if for example, if I take the next value, what it is doing now? So it is trying to print 1, 2, 4. See, this is like again it is printing the values, but finally it comes into the exception. No such no such element exception. Because we don't have any next value. In that case, what it is doing is like it is going to throw the no such element exception. Okay, so previous is like it will check for the previous value. If we have a next value as next value, it's going to check for the next value and it will return the true or false based on the availability of it. So it is also doing like the same thing will be happening in case of as previous value. Okay, so it's like you can move forward and move forward and backward. Okay, move forward and backward. So this is all about like list interface, guys. So we'll see what are the implementation class of like lists. Okay, so we'll try to take the other classes, that is nothing but array list. So now directly we can go and create object for the array list. Okay, so array list, a list is equals to new array list. I will try to take the values, what are the values that we have here from the list interface. Just I will copy these values. Let me copy these values. So same can be achieved through array list. So when you go back here, you can see internally what it is doing. It is extending abstract list and implements the list. Okay, implements the list here. You don't specify list is equals to array list, list is equals to new array list. That will also work, but array list is like it will directly point the list. So we have some methods which are available as part of list. Okay, so when you try to use them, so here you go and try to use it here. For example, we looked into the array list, right? So list iterator. So list iterator is also available here. ITR is equals to new list, not new list. So we have to, what is this? This is kind of like a, when you go back here, it is an interface. Okay, so it is an interface. So we need to directly point it to their list and we can use the list iterator. While ITR as next, and the values here. And go and execute this, you can get the values. Okay, so this is one method. And if we have same things as we look into the list, right? So remove dot, so whatever, if you want to remove dot add list dot remove. Okay, so then next we have like a list at add. You want to clear, you can clear. Contains is like object, whether that object is available or not. So from where it is coming, see, additional methods which are available as part of array list is like, it's like array list will contain the methods from list and array list. See, contains. It's checking for the value. If you have this contains some, I'm going to put 2.4 here. For example, HYD. whether this array list contains this element or not. It's going to check for this and it's going to return you the boolean value. Okay, I'll just comment this code and we'll see. True. Okay, so this element, we have this element. Okay, and other methods which are available as part of array list is like is dot index. So index of that particular object. For example, if you give 1, so it will give you the index. So it's located at 0. Okay. So likewise, we have different methods here to get the indexes, to check whether that element is available or not. Okay, array list dot, and you see contents collection. So like get also. That is a other method I'm missing. Get 0. Rule 0 and 1. Okay. Another one is like system alias dot add is empty. It return false because we have that value. What? Last index of some element. For example, if you have more elements added here. Eight. Okay, so it's like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so 8. Let's start. Remove, you can remove the index. You can remove. So we looked into this remove and remove objects, right? Remove all collections, and I'm going to show you like what is the difference between remove all and return all. Okay. So now it's like set the values. For example, if you want to set some value here, we already looked into the set, right? So set. I'm going to give something as like test. So if it has set the value, it will return the true. Okay. So let's go and try to print the list here. One test, and it's like earlier we used to have like 2.4. Now it is just, so set is different from the add. See, for example, if you are adding, so add is like it's going to shift one value, right? So it was it is shift, it is like a kind of like a right shift operation. It is shifting the value. Okay, it's not removing it, but set is like it is replacing. Okay, it's replacing at that index. So likewise, we have another methods also. A dot remove. Replace is like replacing all. So if we don't use most of the times like replace and all, we use the set operations. And we can convert this into array list also, like arrays also. So I'll try to say that object. Okay, now you select, now you got it as like a array. So for int I is equals to 0, I is less than dot length I plus plus. Come out. We'll see whether it is, now it is like converted into the array. Printed. See, we have a collection here, and this is like converted into the array. Okay, array list dot to array. What it does is like it's going to convert. the array into the list. Okay. So then we have another methods like arrays dot as list. Okay. When you say this, so what we are trying to do is like we have converted this like this is like kind of a it's okay. We'll talk about like arrays also. Arrays is the class that how do we convert this particular given array into the list also as list that we can do it. Okay. So now it is like we can just take one element at a time and we can convert into the list. For example, if you are trying to create array list and A is equals to this will not okay. We need to cast it to the array list so that it will be converted to the array list. Okay. So this is like I'll show you like how do we do it in advance. But these are the different methods, guys. Okay. Contains index of contents is like it will check whether that element is available in the list or not. Index of is like it will go and get the index of this particular element. Get is like it will get the element which is located at the index. Is empty is like it will check whether the list is empty or not. And last index of the element, if something is repeated and you want to get the last index of it, you can use last index. Set is like it will replace the particular element in the given position. Okay. So index. Add is like it will add, it will shift the existing element to the right. And next is like we can convert the arrays to the list to the arrays using the to array. Okay. Array list dot to array. It's going to convert this list into the arrays. And we can print the values here. So like this is like I'm just printing the values of arrays, but you can directly print values of list of collection using the printout system.out.println. Okay, so these are the operations that we can perform. Now you can see this is very easy, right? So this is very easy. We have a lot of methods which are available as part of like array list and linked list, which can overcome the kind of like limitations of the arrays. Okay, so we'll discuss in detail about these things. I'm going to explain you what are the different types of things that we can achieve through the array list and linked list, and what are the difference between array list and linked list. Okay, so likewise we'll discuss about set, as set, linked as set, and tree set also. And once you understand this, then it will be easy for us to understand the rest of the collections, like whatever collections we have, like setter, as setter, linked as setter, tree set. First, we need to understand the collection, and inside that collection, what are the interfaces that we have, and how do we exactly use those interfaces, or like how do you exactly create the objects or add the objects and do the operations or manipulations on it. Okay, so to make it simple, uh, array lists are faster in searching the elements. Okay, so searching the elements. Linked lists are like insertion is faster. Okay, so here array list will allow you to add the duplicates, and it maintains the insertion order, whatever order that we are specifying, the same order will be maintained. Okay, and the other thing is like it is non-synchronized. Okay, it's not synchronized in the sense, it is like non-synchronized. Non-synchronized in the sense thread safe. What we say is like it's not a thread safe. And the search operations is like faster in case of array list. Linked list like insertion operation is like easy for us. Okay, insertion or deletion. Okay, so we'll look into this, guys, tomorrow. So for now, I'll just stop it here. So I'll just share these things with you. So one is like we look into the collection interface, another one is like array list class. So tomorrow we'll look into the linked list class, and after that we'll look into the other type of collections. Okay, set and rest of the implementation classes of set. So this is like basic diagram that we have here. So what are the interfaces which are part of collection framework, and what are the implementation classes of those respective interfaces. Okay, I'm going to share this classes at whatever we have looked into it, collection framework. Okay. So these are the example classes. Okay, list interface, that we look into list interface, and what are the different types of iterators or enumerations or cursors that we have talked about. So how do we, in a different ways of retrieving the data and different operations that we looked into, right? Remove and all. So I'm just putting it here in the array list class. So you can use this one. Okay, I'll just add few more methods here. Array list dot remove 0 and array list dot remove and new string of HYD. Okay. Now you can see the values removed from this particular list. Okay. So we'll talk. Still, we have a lot of things that we can cover as part of collection. Okay. For now, I'll stop it here, guys. Tomorrow we'll connect and we'll discuss more things.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
So I'll give a detailed documentation of this collection framework. Don't worry about it. What is the difference between these two, and how do we, when do we use this, and when do we go with the different types of collections that we are going to discuss in detail. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your time. Let's meet tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.